Hi everyone. I just wanted to say a happy New Year's Eve coming up and happy New Year's 2024 as we get there. And this will be your astrological transits going from December 31st through January 6th, 2024. So it's a big week, or looks like a pretty good week to me. We have Mercury going direct, stationing direct, and Jupiter stationing direct, and then Mars moving into Capricorn. So that should be, it should be good for us, I think. So anyway, let me show you the charts, take you through day by day. And first let's swap out cameras. Hold on. Hello, here we are with the charts. Okay, so first thing, I forgot to say that Jupiter actually stationed direct we're starting here with Sunday, but on Saturday, so because I'm doing this reading on Thursday, it'll still be okay as long as you're not watching it, late in the week. It's still okay anyway. But bottom line is that Jupiter actually stationed direct on the 30th. That's Saturday the 30th at 6:41 p.m. And I messed up with the time zones and didn't catch it on the right day. So, and you can see Jupiter's direct right here. In my program, the planets that have, and these would be planets, the sun and the moon are luminaries and they never retrograde. But all the personal planets, well, all the planets, except for the nodes, we don't pay any attention to. But anything that has red with the degrees, then that shows that the planet is in a retrograde phase. So the other important thing for this week is that Venus, see how Venus is here at 2 degrees of Sag and it's squaring Saturn at 3 degrees. Now, over the next few days, it's going to be the strongest, but then it'll wane a little bit throughout the week. But it does stay in orb. This square stays in orb for all the way through Friday. So while I'm talking about it, might as well keep going. Especially with this morning with this square too. We've got a T-square going on right here with Venus. So Venus square Saturn. Okay, so first of all, let's hit up Venus and talk about her for a minute. So Venus is very flexible and adaptable. But in Sag, we have to mix the energy of, Venus wants unity, but Sag is very directional and has inspiration and belief systems and, gotta go in my direction, and we're searching for meaning, right? So if we combine it in the best sense of the trip of, Venus through the sign of Sag, we could be searching for unity, searching for where we can come together with other people, and searching for where we feel inspired to go, right? So if you feel drawn to something, you generally do, explore. And Sagittarius is all about exploring, and but most of all to expand our sense of reality. Now, and it's there. It's a mutable sign, and it's there to get us to open up, to assimilate something new, to be adaptable. Venus is also adaptable. Sag is wanting resources or to be resourceful, and Venus is connected to resources. Venus is all about what matters most to us. Venus is all about attractiveness, but also what we're attracted to, right? So we could say that during this Venus and Sag journey, that we are going in the direction that we feel pulled, to say, simply. And where we feel pulled will help us figure out, and this is another Venusian issue, and also Taurus, is our self-worth. So if we're going in the direction that helps us to understand our true worth, we're human, we're here, we matter. The fact that we're here is more than enough. You are not to be measured by how much money we have, but a lot of people tend to put that in the terms of, self-worth. Now, how much money you can make when you have a job, I understand that as being a form of self-worth. And if we're having trouble with our self-esteem and self-worth from our, growing up in our childhoods, that's very understandable that, it's something we're really going to have to work out as we grow, as we mature as an adult. So, but anyway, Venus tends to be about the things that we enjoy, the things that bring us happiness, the things that are easy to hang out with others, the way that we can socialize with others. Now, it's also, like I was saying, it rules our money. Normally, you think when you think of Venus, you just think in terms of love and money and pleasure and beauty, the arts. Venus definitely rules the arts, and most Tauruses and Libras are very good because Venus rules both signs, are very artistic in their own way, whichever way it is, and sometimes in many ways. But it's what we will, be drawn towards, what kind of tastes we'll have, and then you just put it into the sign. And like I said, with Sag, it's on the positive sign, it's to help you get on your path. It's to help you find meaning in your life. It's to help you, search for the things that will help you grow and expand, because Jupiter rules Sagittarius. So we're talking, are we headed in the direction of spiritual law? We're also here on Earth with natural law and man-made law. It's great when the man-made laws are in alignment with spiritual law, but that's often not the case. So the downside with Sag is that we can just be wasteful and waste our time, and we can be, some people, you've seen it, can be really, really opinionated. And this can play out in religion, and it can play out in organized sports, and like that team is just trash. Always, it's like, okay, well, it's just a game. But now I can hear everybody going, what? Shut up. But if you think about it, though, if all those times that we're in, and we're all human, so we all go there. But if we're in that us versus them mentality, and winner versus loser frame of mind, and all the other dualistic traps, well, then we're in duality. And we're here on Earth, in Earth School, to overcome duality. So that us versus them, and that separation of being really opinionated that way, and just self-indulgent, and just trying to get an opportunity for yourself, and you don't care about others, that can be the downside of Sag. And like I said, religious dogma. So, and that's especially true, and we're going to see this play out all week, and especially this morning, even though, and you're probably laughing already about Sunday, New Year's Eve morning. Well, I didn't know how else to say it, because it's 6 a.m. on the 31st. But you can see this T-square with Venus. So, what do we really want, and where are we going? Over to the moon, and the moon in Virgo in this new degree is trying to help us form an opinion. It's trying to help us discern. It's trying to help us get inside of what is, what's the right way to, the right way to go. And then also the moon opposing Saturn. It's serious, especially Saturn in Pisces. Saturn in Pisces Saturn is about form and structure. Pisces is about open, expansive, it includes everything. It's against exclusion. It's about flowing. A Saturn flow situation, to me, I feel inspired if I'm thinking of a river with really beautiful river banks, and there's a nice easy flow. It's not a torrential, uh, like a flood. It's not a flood, because you've got the structure for the water to flow in. So these two actually really go well together. But opposing the moon in Virgo, the moon, and this is our, public opinion, and this is our mood. The moon is all about connecting the dots and trying to attach meaning to something because of the square to Venus. And then we're looking at Saturn and going, but wait, will this work out? Like if I actually go that way and invest my time, will it work out? So we've got some reckoning energy going on here. And like I said, this square lasts all week. This morning, the Venus to Saturn lasts through Friday, but this morning is pretty much just the Virgo hitting or opposing Saturn. But remember, the oppositions can be, it's like we have a mirror at each end here, and someone's over here connecting the dots and discerning, and someone's over here holding space for the big picture. And it could actually be a really beautiful situation that can create a breakthrough. Because for me, oppositions can be confrontations, but I'm always looking for the breakthrough. And sometimes the breakthrough is to break away and go in the other direction because, you're not met. Right? In relationships, you tend to hang out with people where you have some camaraderie and some connection, right? And the moon is all about connection. So we're figuring out who we can connect with, and we're more sensitive than ever with Saturn and Pisces. And we've been building our spiritual foundation. We've had this sojourn with Saturn and Pisces, it seems like forever, but it's only at 3 degrees now, but that was because of that retrogradation. Now it won't retrograde again until June. So that's going to be helpful, late June. But still, it's going to last another 5-6 months when it happens. So, yeah, 2 to 2.5 years it takes for Saturn to get through one sign. And I think, it won't move into Aries. I think I've said this every week. Saturn will not move into Aries until January 26th, 2026. January 26th, 2026. So, interesting combo there with the numbers. And then it'll be a completely different feeling and expression of creating form and structure in our lives. Now, Saturn is also the government, so when it comes to politics, we can see that because Pisces is also a sign, or one of the signs of immigration, as well as Neptune. Neptune rules Pisces. Jupiter can be what used to be the old ruler before we discovered Neptune, but I tend to just stick with the modern symbology. But anyway, Jupiter and Pisces is really wonderful too. Anyone has that in their chart, they're wonderful to hang out with. But anyway, so with all this Piscean energy, we are definitely having issues with immigration, and we're having to figure out what to do and what is the humane thing to do. And it's really, it can be challenging. Part of what Biden's been working on is to, I think, throw some help and support to Mexico City, and to try and help set up asylum offices in Mexico itself so that things can be handled over there before people go and try and make this huge trek in this journey and then get stuck at some border somewhere and stuck with like Governor Abbott in Texas, or Arizona, or any of our other border states. So there's just a lot to consider there. And with this morning for the moon, it's funny, usually I go with the outer planets first, but, there's not a big thing going on with Pluto. The nodes have been, working their way backwards, so I'm not going to worry about that so much. But I'll just stick with what I'm drawn to here. So with this moon trining, see how the moon's at 1 degrees Virgo, and then we've got the trine over here to the north node. So the north node is the direction that we're all heading towards in Aries, letting everyone understand and trying to make the point always that everyone matters. It's an instinctual thing to honor life. So when people are not honoring life and they're in separation, and sometimes that us versus them can definitely be the polarity between Aries and Libra, because Libra is us, Aries is me, you know. So if it's like me versus you or me versus us, that can be real, you know, challenging. So to hold space for all of life to be honored as sacred, you know, that's the way to go. But then again, here we are up against women's reproductive rights, and women, you know, a lot of women throughout millennia have died in childbirth, and a lot of mothers and the baby have died during childbirth. So, you know, we have that in our DNA. It doesn't matter if you're male or female, man or woman. We have that in our DNA because we've lived through it. You know, we've had so many lifetimes where we've gone through all types of atrocious, horrific, you know, painful things, painful issues. So, you know, and it's easy to get caught up in the trap thinking that there's never enough, there's not enough room, there's not enough space, there's not enough money, there's not enough freedom, there's not enough blah, blah, blah. Whatever it is, you know, you can plug into it and go into fear. But Pisces, and especially Neptune, questions that and asks us to think of things in a different way. You know, Neptune, just think in terms of like the Hanged Man card, the major arcana card in the tarot, you know, it brings in that feeling of, you know, because the head's down and you're having to look up and see things from a different perspective, look at things from a different angle. And Piscean energy is all about, you know, walking through, you know, walking in another person's shoes, or traveling through, and you know, another person's, I think the old saying was, in their moccasins. So yeah, so that can be one of those situations that is on the table, and I especially am drawn to that because see how Neptune is 25 degrees Pisces here, and we have this double square coming up to Mercury and Mars. So Ceres and Sag is here, a lot like Venus. Ceres is very nurturing and inclusive, but especially protective towards nurturing. It's in our natal chart, it's our maternal imprint. And I include Ceres because she's a dwarf planet, and you know, it's not something to just kind of sneeze at. I don't have the other asteroids in here because I don't think that they're that important. But, you know, Chiron is a centaur. Ceres is related to everything connected to like our food and everything feminine, everything that, you know, females go through in a lifetime. It's related to our reproductive system, so it's something to keep an eye on with this. I included her because of what we're going through with Roe v. Wade and the Dobbs decision. So, you know, it has to do with our home environment in the natal chart. But yeah. So, anyway, she holds this really beautiful space in between. You know, in the asteroid belt. She's a dwarf planet in an asteroid belt, but she holds a place in between Mars and Jupiter. So I just feel like she's very important to include. So she's headed towards a square with Neptune, but Mercury and Mars are already right there. So Mercury, of course, is the way we think and the way we communicate and how we negotiate, how we connect the dots and find patterns, which the moon in Virgo is very supportive of today. And with the connection to Mars in Sag, no less, all of the Sagittarius, I mean, we've got a stellium. The stellium is 3 or more planets in one sign. So that's good enough for me right there. So the emphasis in our thinking and our actions and our movement and what we want and our motivations, speaking to Mars here, is everything to do with Sagittarian energy. So just like I was saying last week, and I started off this, this reading with the fact that we're all trying to find what matters most in our lives, what brings in meaning. Well, meaning, and so we can go back to Venus here, will definitely connect to pleasure, because we're all hardwired for positive pleasure. It's who we are in spirit. Just think in terms of the spiritual realm, where there's no such thing as separation, there's no such thing as even negativity. I'm speaking to the highest realms. Not all spiritual. There are lower spiritual realms too. But in the highest realms, from where we have incarnated from, it's all bliss, Piscean energy, all bliss, all pleasure. You can't even have a negative thought. And as soon as you think of what you want and how you want to feel, or you start feeling a certain way, bam, you're there. It's like Shazam. You get it. You have it. So it's important to remember that we're all hardwired for positive pleasure. That is who we truly are. Now, I suppose because of years and years, or incarnations and incarnations of having to get hard lessons, this is how we wind up with, these dark people on the planet like Putin and Trump, and how we had Hitler and, Mussolini, which I believe was Trump's last lifetime. So they're having to learn the hard way, because obviously they don't believe that there's, more than one lifetime. They think once you're dead, you're dead. Well, no, nothing works like that. It just doesn't even make logical sense when you think it all the way through. If you keep following that track and thinking of what would be the point of life? What would be the purpose of life without transformation? So now that leads me to discussing more about Pluto, and especially today because of the inconjunct here, the quincunx 150-degree aspect to the moon. So the moon in Virgo at this first decan, we are developing some new plans that are very practical. They can be related to self-care, they can be related to our health, and then we are going to be making adjustments. They could also be related to our service too, because Virgo is very connected to service. So with the inconjunct here, quincunx aspect, we're having to make an adjustment, and the adjustment has to do with Pluto at that anaretic degree of Capricorn. So, remember, the anaretic degree is always about intensity. It's about something at its ripest. And when it comes to all the signs and all the planets and the luminaries, things can be, this is the way it is on Earth. Remember, we are unitive beings in our, in our essence, in our spiritual essence. We are unitive beings. But here on Earth, we've incarnated, in each lifetime, we incarnate an egoic fragment that we weren't able to work through in our previous lifetimes. So the egoic fragment has a false belief. It has a belief in separation. It has a belief, based in fear and sometimes hatred, and so there's a separation from who you truly are. But because you haven't been able to work it through for some reason or another, maybe you died. Maybe you died in a pandemic. Maybe you died in famine. Maybe you died in childbirth. Maybe you died trying to save your wife while she was in childbirth. Maybe, in a war, right? So whatever you leave your last lifetime with believing, whatever that last decision as you're leaving that lifetime, that will set up whatever that decision is, will set up, and it's often a false belief, right? It will set up your lifetime for your next incarnation, and there you have your natal birth chart, right? So, with Pluto at this 29th degree, that anaretic degree, at the highest levels of using the energy, the highest levels of what, a 29-degree Pluto could be, is the utmost of integrity, the utmost of duty. We're speaking to Capricorn now in the highest levels. We're dealing with somebody who's always willing to be constructive, good, really, really good at planning, really, really wonderful at creating new opportunities, and then that hard work to see the project through. And they're, usually very self-structured. But if they're working in the dark, then we have someone who can just be really cold-hearted. We can have somebody who's locked into the material realm, and they don't think that there's anything more. And that's what I was saying about, they think when they die, this is it. You only get one life. No, you don't. Think it through. Think about it. So, but whatever your belief is, whatever's really true, you'll find on the other side when you do die anyway, so it'll be okay. It's nothing, to worry about. But when it comes to the negative side of Pluto at this 29 degrees, these are dictators. These are autocratic, controlling manipulators who only care about themselves, and they abuse resources. So this is the problem here. And we are this morning, something on this morning with, I think there's going to be something on the news that we're really starting to figure out exactly. Well, shoot. If you don't know what's going on with Trump by this point, I suppose maybe, if somebody's just working, I've had periods like that in my life way back in the 80s and 90s where all I did was work, and I don't know, well, I was dependent on others to tell me about the news, except for when, the whole OJ thing, and everybody was like, where'd he go? Watching that white Bronco going down the 405. Or no, I was on the 101, I guess. Probably both. 405 to the 101, the busiest interchange in Southern California. So anyway, squirrel moment there, huh? So we are discerning about our own authority and our own integrity, and this is where I just always have that belief that we're all going to die someday anyway. So you might as well go down with your integrity, right? It's not giving it up to somebody else for money or for climbing the ladder. This is another Capricornian trait. They'll use other people just to step up, and there really is no real connection other than they want something from you in order to get somewhere themselves, right? So there can be those types of choices. Because opportunities, life is all about free will and making choices. So I think I've discussed that enough, that aspect. The moon trining Mars right here coming up is actually really good. We had that going on at the end of the week, last week, which like I said, because I do these on Thursday, you are probably getting this while the moon is still in Leo, and that trine's been happening. But so this is on the waning side of it, and all that Leo will and heart energy, you know, upper back. Leo rules the heart and the upper back. So you've got your feeling love in the front of your body, and then your will center in the back, in the mid upper back, solar essence coming through. And it can be that courageous love that we experienced. And then now with it's in Virgo, now the moon in Virgo, can be about, okay, how do I use it? What are the ways, what are the tactile, practical, you know, just particular, specific, distinctual ways that I can take an opportunity and create something or make something better. Because bottom line, Virgo is all about being useful. Now, Virgo also rules the tummy and the digestive system. So, you know, and Cancer does rule the stomach too, but especially Cancer and Virgo. So we're in that realm of fine-tuning, and maybe, you know, with the holidays, maybe we've been just eating all kinds of things that were available. And we're figuring out, ooh, that one didn't work so well, you know. So there might be some synthesizing there that helps us figure out what works and what doesn't, and that it's all good, you know. You'll figure it out. Virgo energy is so much about self-care, and with the trine up to Mars, because remember we had that fire trine going on. Well, now the moon is still trine Mars in the fire sign, and it'll come out of orb and wane. But for today we have it, and it helps us directionally figure out, you know, what is the right way to go. What feeds the energy in your body is what is related to Mars. You know, Mars is it's activating, it motivates us, it helps bring in our enthusiasm. We get more energy, right? So with Mars and Sag, if any of you have had Sag, Mars in Sag natally, this last month you've had a lot of energy, and now it's coming towards Capricorn, and those of us with Mars and Capricorn will get an extra boost because it'll be like your Mars return, which you get every 2 years anyway. And if Mars is crossed over in any of your natal planets, you know, like your moon or your sun, or those would be the luminaries, moon or sun, Mercury, well, you'd have a double whammy there because Mercury's been in Sag, but it can be, you know, this combo here can be like the fire of the mind that wants to search and wants to figure things out, but it's all connected to our courage and the direction we're meant to go anyway. With this trine here, all these trines, this is really wonderful. And then especially with Ceres in this exact trine, see how they're both at 15 degrees to Chiron? This is really wonderful for healing, because Chiron being our deepest wounding, if you get inside that wounding and you process it through, and every little bit you process it through, it turns into your greatest gift. And Chiron can be a wonderful teacher. So, and people with like Chiron on the ascendant or up in the midheaven or close to you know, another planet or sun or moon, of course, or in the 10th house, they can be wonderful at helping people to work through their darkest wounding and, you know, and come through the other side. You can have a lot of healing with a Chiron aspect and placement. So with Ceres trining Chiron, it would have to do with our parental imprint, with our family, you know, familial imprint, and how much or not we felt that we mattered, and how present our parents were with us or not, how much they encouraged us or not. how much we feel like we can assert our unique individuality and put ourselves first sometimes. All those things are up, for healing when we've got this configuration here with this aspect. And then another issue might be with Chiron in Aries, where maybe you were abandoned as a little one, or abandonment at any time in your life is really painful. But when you go through it and you don't abandon yourself because you're connected with the pain that's coming up, and then you're also your positive self-assertion and all of that, when you come back to yourself and you don't abandon yourself, then you no longer have that grabby, needy energy that's impulsively putting a demand on other people. Because remember, a demand is a forcing current. And you've got a forcing current out on somebody, you're going to get the opposite of what you're putting out there. So, there's a little relationship thing going on there. And I especially speak to that because of the nodes, with the this nodal axis in Aries and Libra, because Libra is all about our relationships. So there's a lot about discerning the past and moving forward into the future with relationships that are, good for each other. But, with the Venus-Saturn square all week, we're going to be thinking about those things. We're going to be, focusing on trying to go the right direction. Who are you going with? Or are you going alone for a while? And that's okay too. Let's see, what else? We've got this aspect of the architect going on from Jupiter to Saturn and then over to the moon today. Saturn trine Jupiter, sextile Jupiter. I do that every week, don't I? Saturn sextile Jupiter will be in effect all week, and maybe more, because Jupiter had been retrograde and now it has stopped, okay, but it still has to get way past that that point. I can't remember what degree it was at when it went into retrograde. I'll have to look that up. I think it was 9, if I remember. I'll check that out. If it's important to anyone, just drop it in the comments. But suffice to say, it's going to take some time to get out of the shadow, but it doesn't move that quickly, and Saturn's just kind of sit there. So we've got this sextile happening for quite some time, and that means that we have an opportunity between Jupiter and Saturn. These are the builders of the zodiac. So Jupiter comes along first, moves faster. It's it can move all the way around the zodiac in 12 years. Saturn takes 28, 29 to get all the way around. So usually just stays in a sign for a year. And what we have going on with Jupiter opening up the way, so Jupiter, just think of expansion. Think of Jupiter as somebody, think of something like maybe you're going, because Jupiter can relate to travel, as Sag is. All of this travel energy is here as well too, with the Sag season. And now that Capricorn's, the sun's in Capricorn, of course, things are gonna, crystallize and bring us more indoors. Unless you're in the land down under, and if you're watching Libby, hey, my friend over at Meister Tarot, who lives in the future. So anyway, back to Jupiter and expansion. Okay, so remember, we have the forces in the universe of expansion, contraction, and stasis. So the expansion has to do with, of course, moving forward. And think of traveling and you have a guide. You have a docent or a guide. Or think in terms of, because it's in Taurus now, think in terms of you have a guide that's helping you in the realms of feeling more secure, being faithful to yourself, in terms of self-preservation and the things that you can touch and hold and have. and the things that you can magnetize with your manifesting abilities, and which we all have. And then think of the terms of valuing, like what is it that brings value to yourself, into your life. That's where we've all been headed, and that's where we're all still going. And these two planets, Jupiter and Uranus, will come together in the spring, I think in April, so that'll be really good. But for now, with this sextile to, again, the builders of the zodiac, so Jupiter expands, and then of course we've got the the Pisces energy here to help us with the mutable energy of assimilation and stasis, But Saturn's over here trying to contract, but can't really because we've got Pisces energy, which is, again, mutable, adaptable, flexible, assimilating. So I think that this is actually really, really good for manifesting. And that's, of course, why we have that sextile at 60 degrees there. And so just think of, what are you going to build in the future? What have you been building? Saturn in Pisces is our hallmark energy and consciousness of. So when I say energy, I think of movement and attraction. And when I say consciousness, I think of consciously knowing what you want, and you're working to have it, right? You're working on it, whatever the project is. You're consciously aware of what you're working on. To have these two together could be this really solid spiritual foundation. So I have, even though Saturn can bring in delays, I have every faith in bringing something together for immigration, or to help the immigrants, or help them on the other side, so that life isn't so bad for them in the country that they're in. And this building this safety. We've got, with Jupiter and Taurus, Saturn and Pisces coming together here, this connection here, and then later on Jupiter and Uranus coming together, we can have some major breakthroughs in opportunities for safety for immigration, for safe immigration, or safety for immigrants who, if you can help the country that they're in, as long as the country's not corrupt. That's the problem, is a lot of times the head of the country is corrupt, and any support you send them, they keep for themselves. So as long as that's not happening, which I'm sure Biden is working on, things can work out. But we're talking long term, and we're talking the expansion of spiritual law, natural resources. And then with this trine over here, we've got this aspect of the architect of the moon. Something could really be forged. Some headway could be made. So I think that's about it. Well, let's see. We have the sun at 9 degrees working towards a square to Chiron. So there are going to be lots of souls who are experiencing the, what's the word? It's like repair, the repair of the soul that needs to happen from some challenging interactions with family members over the holidays. Family members or friends or loved ones or people we thought we were really connected to, or people who really cared, and it turns out that they're actually pretty selfish, and you're considering whether or not you ever want to have another holiday with them again. So there could be some inner repair work that's happening with this square to Chiron. So, because if they're not honoring who you are and how much you matter, then what's the point? And the sun is shining a spotlight on that over the next several days, because the sun here is at 9 degrees, and the square to Chiron is happening, or Chiron's sitting here at 15 degrees. And having just newly gone direct last week, that's up So that's up all week, actually, I'm feeling. And especially with the square to Venus, Saturn square Venus, yeah, it can be a little challenging. So, okay, let's go ahead and go to Monday. So Monday, I went ahead and blew past the morning because I wanted to, I looked between the charts. There wasn't a whole lot going on. But Monday night, so New Year's Day, 7:08 p.m. Pacific, so that'd be 10:08 p.m. Eastern, we have Mercury stationing direct. So you can see Mercury's at now 22 degrees Sag. Now, when it went retrograde, it was at 8 degrees of Capricorn. So we're still in the retro shade until January 20th. You know, we have to get, the Mercury has to get beyond 8 degrees Capricorn in order to be out of the shade. So, you know, we're still dealing with fixing things that broke down because Capricorn is very, you know, things of solid form. So it could be actual objects. Like my shredder it's dead. It's been having trouble for years, and it's finally yeah. It's time to move on. So I have to figure out how to recycle that. But anyway, and don't you guys notice that it seems to be during Mercury retrograde, we tend to have updates to our phones and updates to, you know, well, updates on our computers are happening all the time, but fixes, you know, bug fixes are one of those things that seem to be predominant with Mercury retrograde. And how many times were you guys, I know it happened several times for me, how many times did you guys either say the wrong thing and you meant something else, you know, when it comes to dates, or like the way I left off the fact that Jupiter went direct last, you know, Saturday rather than the 31st, which would have been this week because I got the time zone wrong. And how many times have you guys been misunderstood this last Mercury retrograde? So just know that until we get clear that 8 degrees of Capricorn around the 20th, 21st, we're still going to feel that way. It's still going on. So be patient with each other. Give each other the benefit of the doubt. That would be a Jupiterian quality. If you can give people the benefit of the doubt and just not worry about it, not so much. Yeah, okay, so what else? So Monday, all day. So remember, the moon was here at about 1 degree, so by Monday night it's at 19. We're in that second degree, second decan of the degrees in Virgo. So now we are integrating something that we've been working with, and now we have a double square coming up to Ceres and Mercury, and of course moving towards a square to Mars. So we are really, in this tension field of trying to think in a new way, because we're really wanting to make sure we're going in the right direction, because as Mars moves closer and closer to Capricorn, that's when the hard work comes in based on that headway that we've made going in a certain direction. So this is, I think, kind of like a testing point going on here with Mercury moving forward. There's still, Mercury Mars is still like fiery. It can be fiery words. It can be fighting words. Like I was saying before a couple weeks ago and last week, pick your battles. Is it really worth it? It's like, nah, just, yeah, you're right. Just tell me, you're right. Well, okay, we don't have to talk about it anymore. Whatever. Just let them think they're right. As long as they're not trying to tell you like how you're feeling and how you should be and things like that. Let people have their own real feelings, and you don't want to be stepped on. But if there's an opinion coming at you, and it's because there are those people out there that have mixed wiring with the Ceres, in Sag. If somebody's having a Ceres return, or they have Ceres and Sag, they're going to have that parental imprint of thinking that they always have to be moving, always have to be getting things done, always have to be searching, and they can sometimes be very, very just kind of general. They can be generalizing rather than, which leaves you stuck in duality. Like you don't want to have the opinion that like all men are cheaters, or all women are over emotional, or all, if anytime you're in that all or never, you're usually in duality, usually. Not always, but usually. So, yeah. So with the moon square, there's still some of that going on. Like I was saying, Venus and Saturn square going on till Friday. So again, relationship issues. But it's okay if you stay focused on your path and your goal, things are going to work out. And at least there's the energy to move forward. And there's... the only thing is there's a lot of mental energy. So if you have any trouble sleeping, I wouldn't be surprised. But some bedtime habits to get you in the zone of sleeping. There's a lot out there. You can look online for how to create the best sleeping space, and start thinking in terms of how to get the best sleep. And then if that's a focus, at least we have focus here. We've got that direction. And with all this Pisces energy, we could, that could be a healing thing. And especially with the moon in Virgo at that second decan, this could be a real life lesson, because it is such a form of health care to get good, deep sleep. So, okay, and then today we also have the moon exactly trining Uranus. So there can be some real breakthroughs with Uranus, and right now that Mercury's not retrograde anymore, notice how we don't have any other, the nodes don't matter. Eris takes 558 years to get around the zodiac, so retrogradation periods with that dwarf planet is not something I really worry about. It's just kind of, it's just life. But notice that Uranus, for now, is the only planet that's retrograde. And she'll go direct, she'll heal, I don't know, whatever. This planet will go direct. Uranus will go, the Great Awakener will go direct January 26th. So that's coming up pretty soon. So, and I think when it went retrograde, I think it was only at, what was it, at like 23 degrees, I think? About 23, yeah, it was about 23 degrees of Taurus. So notice how it didn't go back too far. But anyway, so the moon trining Uranus could bring through some breakthrough where you really get something figured out, something that's practical, something with your health, something with self-care, something with your tummy, something with your schedule, because we're dealing with, Virgo day-to-day issues. Virgo is very discriminating, and you can, get the serious details. It's like just the facts, ma'am, kind of energy. And with the trine coming off of Uranus, we've got that, that opening up, that energy. Uranus is so good for big breakthroughs, for some aha moments, and it helps us to, to split off from something that's been wasting a lot of time, or break away from some bad habit, especially with the moon in Taurus is all about the tummy too sometimes, right? Because we're talking food. But it's also, Taurus also rules the neck and the throat and the lower jaw. So lower jaw is being connected to the hips. We've got the Sag energy up here. And with Jupiter and this in conjunct to Venus, it's like, to me, all of this, if I just summarize all of these, I'm seeing so many so many connections here to digestion and self-care and tummy and breakthroughs in health, your own self-care, and creating schedules that work for you so you've got the sleep that you need, and not putting too much on the plate because you have this specific direction that you want to go. And there's all this support in making your life more simple so that you have more time to reflect, more time for self-reflection, more time for making sure you're on your path, making sure that life matters, life has meaning to you because you matter that much to yourself. Because if you don't matter to yourself, life will mirror back to you that nobody cares about you either, right? If you don't care about yourself, life will mirror back to you that other people don't care. So if other people are uncaring to you, take that as a cue that there's something off inside and work on that. And if that doesn't shift the relationship, if you don't teach them how to treat you, then, you know, there's gonna be trouble. It's not gonna be easy. But those adjustments can be made, and that is especially the case with Uranus and the inconjunct going on back to the South Node in Libra, because the South Node in Libra is all about relationship and balance and balancing out our soul substance, because that's why we're here. And the adjustment will come because you've woken up in your body, Taurus, in your body. And Taurus ruling the neck and the throat, now you can talk about it, right? Yeah. So, and you've got the details, just the facts, ma'am, to back you up. And whether or not they want to listen or whether or not you can find the right words yet, it's in development. I mean, there's an integration that's going on. That was the word I was looking for a while back. An integration after the issues from the parental imprint and being with family or being with loved ones over the holidays where things just didn't work out so well. And things are coming to a head. So there's integration and coming down and you know, healing, holding space for yourself to, you know, to where you can rely on yourself, because everything's, it's always from the inside. It's the inner that creates the outer. That's your power. So with the moon in Virgo, it's already opposing Neptune. There's the task right there. With the Virgo Pisces polarity here, you know, I mean, the moon can be connected to Neptune very easily. And Virgo is being that polar opposite of Pisces. This is where you can get into the details of how much your physicality matters to your spirit, and how with every breath you can spiritualize your matter, your physical matter on earth, if you're working that way. If you're thinking in terms of, you know, more broadly in terms of, why am I even here? Right? What did I come here to work out, to work through, to process through? What false beliefs, you know, did I bring into this lifetime in order, to, you know, to heal? And those false beliefs, the false beliefs that we bring in, they organize our literal life, you know, reality. So if our reality has been organized in a way that's painful for us, we have to meet that pain, try and figure out what the false belief is, and then make those changes, make those shifts, make those choices that get you going in the direction that can change all of that. And with the sun moving closer and closer and closer every day to Pluto, there can be some there can be many big, powerful shifts in consciousness, and then that is exactly what changes your life. So let's see. I think that's it for Monday, and the focus on Mercury stationing direct. Yeah, just remember Mercury has everything to do with the way we think and how we negotiate with others, and the links we can connect to with others, the way we can analyze things as well, and then how we communicate. It's really good. Mercury's good for, in Sag especially, he definitely is good for writing, because Sag is often a sign of people who can tell good stories. So expect some good books being written right now, which would come out later, or maybe it'll be a whole year later when the sun comes around again, or Capricorn energy, Capricorn season comes through again. Because Capricorn is like there, it's there, it's in physical reality. So, well, you could say that about all the signs, but Capricorn's just, so connected to hard work. Okay, Tuesday. So Tuesday, the moon's still in Virgo. We haven't gone too far because it's, from, what was it, 7 or something at night to now we're just 6 the next morning. The moon's still there squaring Mercury and Mars. So I think pretty much everything is the same. It's just that now with Mercury in that last decan of Virgo, there's some lessons coming through. You've got the facts, and now you know what you're up against. The tension field is there, and some strength can come through, because the squares are tension fields, but they bring through a strength. Think of the foundation of a house. Those are squares. You've got 4 squares, right? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and go to Wednesday, because I don't think there was much difference there. Now, Wednesday, the moon actually moved into Libra the night before. So somewhere later in the evening, for most of you, things would be a little more flowing, a little more social. It might have been a good night. Tuesday night might have been a very good night for socializing and connecting. Now, Wednesday morning comes along, and I have the chart set for 6 a.m. So the moon's in Libra, of course, and with the sextile to Venus, this is a nice connection here. And if you're traveling home, let's say you went and stayed with some relatives, or you took a vacation, or you did whatever you did, with the travel season, this might be a really good day for coming home, because we've got that connection to Venus there. The sextile from the moon to Venus is an excellent travel day. And then you can see all these trines, again, from these fiery trines coming from the North Node. Now there's a real directional focus to help you self-assert, like I was saying before, being a little more daring, initiating new things, and then with all that fiery Sag energy, yeah. And you can see Mars is getting pretty close to moving into Capricorn, which will happen tomorrow. So today, I feel like the focus is really just, what do you want? And making those adjustments, and you're talking about it, and you're going back and forth with those that you connect with easily. And there might be adjustments because of some conversations that you're having, because with Mercury and Mars, there's a lot of conversations, and there have been, and with this stellium and Sag, it's not going to, until Mars moves into Capricorn, it's probably, the conversation is just going to shift from, okay, we know what we want, we know where we're going, now how do we get it done, right? It's going to be more of that get her done kind of energy. So I think that's about it. I mean, what do we have? We've got the sextile from, this is important, Mercury to the South Node. So the South Node in Libra is conducive to a deeper understanding as to where you've been and how you relate to others or not. And if you want to relate better, loving confrontation is a wonderful thing with trusty relationships. if that needs to happen. But there's that speaking up energy. A Sag energy is not quiet. It's not. And with the connection to the South Node, there can be that place where you connect the dots and go, oh, now I know why I relate to so-and-so like that. Or now I know what triggered me. And so there can be this new opportunity to move forward in a relationship there. And then the sun at 12 degrees, Capricorn is now in this beautiful trine to Uranus and Taurus. And you can see there's 7 degrees of separation, but the sun is headed towards a tighter trine. And the trine is that flow, the graceful, easy flow of energy. And again, with Capricorn, with the sun in Capricorn, it's shining a spotlight on, okay, how do we get this done? We want this, how do we get it done? The moon is squaring the sun this morning and into the afternoon. So yeah, there can be a little tension field there, because you definitely, like I was saying before, there are conversations going on. See how many different ways we can see the same thing. The energy today is about having conversations, about getting things done, negotiating, and then these breakthroughs. There's something that is sparked. Something that comes up, how you're talking to someone and you didn't even think of it before you had this conversation, and now suddenly there are, synapses firing on both ends all over the place, and it turns out really well. It turns out to be a wonderful thing. And then again, with the backdrop of Saturn to Venus, if you're both focused on going in the same direction, there can be strength that comes through with that square. And of course, especially because with Jupiter and Saturn still in that sextile, that's a really good thing. Now with the moon, the moon's still in that inconjunct to Jupiter. There can be some adjustments as to how far you will expand, how much money you'll decide to spend, because now you're thinking of, when the moon was in Virgo, you got really in touch with what you needed. Now when it's in Libra, there are conversations and thinking about, how will this, there's more engagement into like, how can I do it? How can we get some opportunities going that are good for everyone involved? Now sometimes this connection here with this inconjunct quincunx, there can be the adjustment of, wait, I need time to think, I need time to self-reflect, because Libra can be very self-reflective, and then from there, then you figure out how far you want to expand and how much. Like, let's say you're bringing together let's say you're involved in a group of people and you guys are starting a new business, and you're trying to figure out how much you got in touch with how much things would cost, and now you're trying to figure out where to get the money, how much you might have to borrow, and who's got what that they can put in, and then there's a negotiation there about percentages and all of that stuff, right? So yeah, there's that. And I don't know if you can see this here very easily, but notice how Jupiter in Taurus is at this point of this finger of fate right here, this yod. So if there is some type of a partnership agreement that comes together today, I think it would be a pretty good one. Now, Mercury's still not out of the shadow, but it's not retrograde, and the only planet that's retrograde is Uranus. And I don't think that that's too bad, because, Uranus and Taurus is going to be just proved to be excellent for creating things that bring value to you, and new inventions of safety, and things that make people happy, and things that help our bodies. The sun's still trining, more spotlight, more revelation, more illumination. There's a focus into things that are new that help create freedom. And then with like I was saying with this yod, this finger of fate here, nothing's really totally well, some things are fated completely, but for the most part, we have a tremendous amount of free will. And the things that are fated in our lives are there because we agreed with our higher self and our spirit from the spiritual realm that we set up this lifetime to maybe start at a certain specific time and end at a specific time, and to have all those opportunities in order to heal. So Jupiter is all about healing. Jupiter is all about expanding. The point of the yod is focus here on Jupiter expansion, Jupiter healing the body, Jupiter branching out, opening up, exploring, investing in because it's something you believe in. It could have to do with travel. It could have to do with just anything that brings in abundance. Jupiter is also related to higher learning institutions. So we're talking college, things like that. I think, imagine people trying to start a college course and they come together, and this is the natal chart for that event. They're the birth. Think of this as being the birth chart for some new project or new business. There you go, right? So the moon would relate to the public and the feeling and the mood, and in Libra it would be pretty inclusive and pretty social. And then with the sextile over to Venus, it would be, moving forward in something. It could be great for a travel business. It could also be great for helping people understand their belief systems. And Sagittarian energy is also related to, like all those things I was talking about earlier, about searching for meaning and searching for the right way to go, basically. So it can be inspiration. It could be a business that's all about inspiration, especially with Jupiter and the connection over there to Venus. And it could be very inspirational for women. It could be a feminine, very feminine energy there. So, okay, let's go to Thursday. Now we have at 6:59 a.m. Pacific time, Mars now in Capricorn. So it's going to take a while to get out of that retro shade that it was in. Or not, I'm sorry, not out of the shade. What am I saying? Mars wasn't retrograde. It's going to take a little while to start feeling like it's in Capricorn because we're so used to things going much more faster in Sag. The Sag energy just goes. It's fire. Now, we're still in that cardinal movement oriented, but the movement oriented energy, well, Mars is movement. Mars is a cardinal planet, which is movement oriented. Capricorn is a cardinal sign, which is movement oriented, but it's movement towards building something solid and not minding the hard work. So now there's going to be the feeling for, for this sojourn of Mars in Capricorn, the feeling that I have to get it done. I don't mind taking self-responsibility. I do want to be in control. I will spend the time, and I don't mind the hard work, like I was saying. Now, it's on the dark side. That's the positive side. On the dark side, it can be a little narcissistic. On the painful side, if you don't feel like you're being respected, it's going to be more painful. Because you're moving towards something that brings you self-respect in the best sense. And on the dark side, you just, you have to be careful about bumping up against others who are narcissistic and just want to use you. And you don't want to do that to them. You don't want to be just, like I was saying before with Pluto and Capricorn, that just climbing the ladder. So, okay, let's see. The moon over here, connected to the south node, is important. So there's reflection on the past. And with the moon opposing the north node, there can be a breakthrough from the past. Because when you really understand your past, then you understand how you got to where you are. And you know how to do things better in the future. So that is wonderful. And the moon is also, notice how we had the yod to Jupiter, now we have it to Uranus. So the moon trining Uranus on this one side can bring through a breakthrough in relationship, can bring through a social situation type of a breakthrough, but there'll be an adjustment. We've got breakthrough at this end, but there's an adjustment. If you can be a little more courageous, if you can get out of your shell, if you've been kind of in a shell, if you can take advantage of an opportunity that's been an invitation that's been presented to you, if it feels right to you, even though your feelings might be a little more shy and reserved, especially with Mars and the Sun. And Capricorn's shy. That's shy energy. So is its polar opposite in Cancer. So the Sag energy has kind of energized, or the Sag transit, all the Sagittarian planetary transits have been energizing and moving us forward. But it might be, I would think we're still going to be mentally curious and very goal-oriented with Sag and Capricorn. But things will be a little slower now. Even though it's cardinal energy, but we're coming more inside. There's a lot of like inner energy here. And again, with that, we still have that yod here, because look at that, 18 degrees up to Ceres. So the moon to Ceres, again, there's like family and maternal energy and feminine energy, and this adjustment over here to what can create more freedom. So I expect to see a lot more fight in, even though it's internal, but that conviction. I feel like the key word here is conviction as to women's reproductive rights and healthcare. How our healthcare system for women is in jeopardy, and that's not good for anybody, because if it's women's rights, it's going to soon be anyone who seems, or who the powers that be, the government and the who the hell is the Supreme Court to make decisions against a woman's free will, right? Like, nobody wants that. So we're all fighting against that. It doesn't seem to matter which political side you're on, nobody wants that. It's like 70% of people don't want that, and we've got this little minority of people who are holding firm to what they think is some religion that actually doesn't even really it's not real. If they're pro-life, why don't they care about the kids that are dying with guns all the time? Why don't they care about the child after it's born, right? So these things are up, I can tell, with this, with Mars, this new Mars into Capricorn, and with this yod that's going on here. Yeah. Okay, let's go ahead and go to Friday. So Friday, January 5th, the moon is now in Scorpio. And so now there's more intensity, there's more determination, there's more refinement. That refinement of, because, it's all about transformation, so you're going deeper, and there's that refinement of opportunities, and it's not subtle anymore. Libra can be subtle. Scorpio's not. Scorpio's determined. Scorpio is all about creating harmony, but they don't mind getting their hands dirty, and they don't mind fighting for their position, and they don't mind working hard, and that's especially the case with all this Capricorn energy here. And you can see we've got a nice trine between the moon and Mars. There's that beautiful trine there, or not trine, I keep doing that, sextile. These are trines. This is the sextile. So we've got, a sextile translates into opportunity. So there's an opportunity to deeply understand what you're really getting by doing what you've been doing. And if you want to make any changes, there's a beautiful opportunity to get that done this morning. And that emphasis or impetus is the right word, impetus to do it. Again, Capricorn's all about getting things done. And like I was saying, sun is trining Uranus, so there's breakthroughs every day. That connection to from the solar energy of the sun will illuminate your path, and it will help you find purpose. It will help you with your vocation. It's good for, and with Capricorn energy, it's good for leadership. It's good for being in your authority. And you're going to find out that the more you do that, the more you're wakening up to what matters most to you and to who you truly are, because of that connection there to Uranus. Now, when it comes to on the political front, we can expect all week, especially with the Venus-Saturn square, that there's money issues coming to fore that we're seeing. I mean, like, Rudy Giuliani is toast, right? I mean, who knows where he's going to end up in his last days, but he's definitely bankrupt, and things are not good for him at all. So, I guess he made choices to get to this place. So there he is. But with this aspect between Venus and Saturn and the Sun and Uranus, we can expect to see things coming out in the news that can be shocking for some people. For most of us, we'll just be like, oh, of course, we knew that. We knew that back in 2015, right? Is there a reason to think that it's going to get better for these, corrupt people? No, because love and truth always prevail. Was that Gandhi? Was it Mahatma Gandhi who said that first? Or was it Lincoln? I forget. I think it was Gandhi. Love and truth will always prevail, and that is the truth. That is, I believe that is like the key to everything. So if you're always focused on, if you're always headed, if you're always working on opening your heart and choosing love in your day-to-day activity, everything's going to work out just fine eventually. Doesn't mean we don't, hit some speed bumps, or it doesn't mean it isn't easy at all, and especially when the moon's in Scorpio, because it means that we have to go deeper inside and figure out what's really going on with us. And we have to be careful not to get stuck in things that just completely consume all of our energy and takes away the opportunity. But the opportunity's here, and I see opportunity here as well. And yeah, this is actually really good. Now notice that we have the trine from the moon to Saturn, from Scorpio to Pisces, no less, and then the sextile over to Jupiter. So here we are with Saturn up at the bucket point of this, this handle hinge point of this aspect of the architect. So this could be a wonderful day for getting something done as well, or going deeper and really, working on projects that you want to get done in the future. And then we have Ceres has now moved close enough to this quincunx in conjunct to Uranus, so there can be an adjustment that's made there because you've decided that you really want to nurture yourself in a new way, and you figured out how, and so now there's this breakthrough energy with Uranus here. But politically, I don't see it going well for, and I never have seen it going well for these corrupt people. And I'm thinking that during this, Capricorn season, that we're going to see more and more and more of the darkness coming out. Now, you have to remember, it's not that the darkness is just now or just recently or in the last 5 years or whatever been, created. The darkness was always there. It's just that we didn't see it. It was hiding underneath, right? These old reincarnated slave masters who want to control life on earth for everyone, and they think they're the ones that know the way, and other people aren't allowed to find their own path and be on their own path. It goes against our Constitution for one thing, but it also goes against spiritual law. So it was always there, and just because we're just now seeing it doesn't mean that it wasn't there. So don't be afraid. Just know that, and I believe that I could say this as a blanket statement for the entire year of 2024. A lot of people are saying, oh, hold on to your hats kind of a thing. I think that we're going to see a lot of justice coming through. We're going to see a lot of, court cases. I don't know that things are going to be done by the election. It's looking doubtful that way, but that's okay, because I think certain people need to go through that process of losing the public support in order for them to learn that being controlling and dark and autocratic, like some kind of a dictator, is not what we want. It's not what anybody wants, really. So we're fighting that, and that is happening worldwide. So, and for Saturday, we have on January 6th, 6 a.m. in the morning, the moon's still in Scorpio. It's in a wonderful sextile over to the sun. So this is one of those days for hunkering down, getting things done. Even though it's a Saturday, it's looking to me like a work day, whether it's on your own soul transformation or actual, well, it can be both, right? We are capable of many complex happenings. So with the moon in Scorpio, we are refining, enhancing life, like I was saying before. But we are bringing in, especially with the sextile to the sun in Capricorn, we're bringing in this ability to go deep and be very determined and to use opportunities for manifesting. And then with the sun up here in this, notice this aspect of the architect right here, so a trine and a sextile coming together. So, and the sun is moving towards an exact trine with Uranus. So everything to do with new ideas coming in, opening up, aha moments for our working towards whatever projects we're working on. We're working towards completion. At the second decan of Capricorn, with the sun at the second decan of Capricorn, we are integrating everything that we've been working hard on in the past, and the moon in Scorpio brings us that extra oomph to get it done, to refine things and make things the best, best as you can. I mean, we're still coming out of the Mercury retrograde shadow, so lighten up on yourself if you've made mistakes or you've missed things or you have to go back and do it again. And that's especially the case with the sun in this in conjunct quincunx coming over to Chiron, if you think you have to be perfect, or you think you have to be first, or you think that you're going to be abandoned or left out, then double down into your Scorpio moon that says, nah, you know what? Not to worry. I am coming through this no matter what, whether there's conflict, whether there's, challenges. I'm trusting myself, bottom line. I'm trusting myself even if there is a little bit of uncomfortable feelings, like the fear of crisis or the fear of betrayal. Now, when it comes to our dirty, corrupt politicians, the sun could show, it can shine a spotlight and show us where someone has been messing around with money in the wrong way, taking money that's not really theirs. And this is tantamount to like reversals of fortune and secrets coming out, because notice how the moon is also in this opposition, and this is a building, approaching opposition, which makes the energy even stronger with the moon to Uranus. So the public, the moon ruling the public, will possibly, very, very possibly see some reversals of fortune when it comes to some corrupt politicians. So, yeah. Other than that, I'm just going to get this uploaded because everything else I've already given voice to, except just to notice, because we're tracking the transits going this way, except for the nodes go backwards and go this way. So now that you can see that the moon's in Scorpio, next it'll go into, so Sunday it'll move towards Sag, and then when it gets into Capricorn, we're heading towards a new moon. When the moon is exactly joined up, conjunct with the sun, we're going to have a new moon. I think it's coming in, if I remember correctly, it's at about 20 degrees though. So yeah. And I think it's on Thursday. I think it's the following Thursday. So, but anyway, I'll be here way before then I'll be here next Thursday to give you the following week. So you're always a week ahead. So, okay, big hugs, you guys. Take good care, as always. Bye.